Hello students, today I am going to start organization topic. In fact, I have decided to take first 3 day for section 1 and last 3 day for section 2. Today there is last class for section 1. Here organization is very important component of public administration. If you notice the pattern of question, you can come to know that maximum almost all questions in section 1 belongs to this topic. So if one student cover this topic effectively, then I don't think he requires to take up other topic. So one is suggested to go through organization topic very effectively. Organization has 4 parts. First part is called organizational theory, in which we study bureaucratic theory, scientific management theory, etc. Second topic is administrative principles of administration. Here we study hierarchy, span of control, etc. Then third, there is, you can say, administrative behavior, in which we study decision making, communication, etc. And last 4, there is structure of organization, in which we study department, ministry, corporation, etc. Organization is basically backbone of administration. If I say no organization, no administration, there is no exaggeration. Organization is basically structure of combination of main and material resources to achieve certain goal or objective. Management is basically instrument which uses organization to achieve the objective of administration. So administration is consisted of both organization and management. Here a structure is provided by organization and instrumentality is provided by management. For example, if you talk of central government, so central government has a structure or organization which starts from president, house to any field offices of central government. And management, you can find that at apex level there is cabinet, at the intermediate level there is, you can say, ministry level, and you can say at local level there is management by local authority, etc. So administration is consisted of management and organization. Organization is hardware and management is software, and both constitute a system called administration. Administration is universal phenomena. It can be private organization, it can be private administration, government administration, social administration. As being a student or as being a disciple of public administration, we are concerned with government administration. In government administration also, the theory of organization, the theory of management, the theory of administration are equally applied, because public administration is interdisciplinary subject. Here there are many theories, but no theory is developed in public administration. All theories are developed in different subjects and they are getting associated in public administration, assimilated in public administration. Get a point? So this thing you require to keep in mind. See, I tell you, what is theory? That is very important question here. What do you know theory here? Theory is basically derived from the word theoria, and theoria is basically derived from the Greek word Q-P-I-X, Q-U-E-P-I-X, Q-P-I-X. Q-P-I-X means what? Q-P-I-X, theoria. This is called theoria, Q-U-P-I-X. Q-P-I-X means the interrelated concepts which combine to give a meaning. Interrelated components which combine to give meaning is called theoria or theory. So in theory you find there are several interrelated concepts, interrelated principles which give a meaningful explanation of an event or process. I have tried to develop the theory or principle is basically, you can say, a simulation or collection or your combination of various presumptions, ideas, etc., which starts from observation, which is the primary level of collecting information. Here we collect data. Getting point, if we develop some sort of viewpoint or something like that is called approach or viewpoint, and if it is thoroughly examined, then it becomes theory or principle, and if it is cross-examined in various subjects, it becomes philosophy. So philosophy is ultimate knowledge and observation is primary knowledge, and theory and approaches lie in between these two polar forces. I must tell you, in social behavioral science, approach or viewpoint seems to be more relevant, whereas in physical science, theory and principle seems to be very relevant. But in general, we also use the term theory and principles for administration, so there is no exaggeration. Get a point? So I tell you in the beginning that in public administration there are various theories which are developed in different subjects with different orientations, different background, etc. But all theory have only one meaning, only one objective or common objective. That objective is 3E, that is economy, efficiency and effectiveness. For example, every one of ours develop some sort of principle. You may have your own principle, I may have my own principle. What is the objective of observing principle? To set my work in order, to set my work perfectly. If I go without principle, if I go without theory, then what will happen? There will be, you can say, mess. There will be, you can say, just wastage of my energy and efforts. So there should be certain principles or certain theory which I require to follow to achieve certain objective or goal. Getting point? So without theory, without principle, you are in darkness. You cannot move even a single step. So theory is some fact torch bearer which gives you, you can say, way to movement, move step to move forward. So theory is very important thing. Get a point? So what is theory? I told that is derived from the theory or cupics, that is interrelated concepts or assumptions giving to some particular meaning. In public administration, theory means a combination of certain principles, certain assumptions which are used, which are utilized to give a proper explanation of a particular process and event. Getting point? In public administration, there can be 6 or 7 theories. First theory is called scientific management theory. Second theory is called administrative theory. Third theory is called bureaucratic theory. Fourth theory is called human relation theory. Fifth theory is called behavioral approach. Sixth theory is called system approach. In UPSC, one more theory is in syllabus, that is called system contingency theory. But in BPSC student is not, in BPSC syllabus it is not here, contingency theory. But in UPSC these days usually questions are frequently asked. Get a point? The scientific management theory, the first theory of administration, the first theory of public administration, the first theory of organization, or first theory of management. It was developed by F.W. Taylor. That is why it is called Taylorism also. It developed in the first decade of 20th century. It is first systematically, scientifically formulated theory of organization or management. Getting point? However, before Taylor, there are several persons who have given little bit contribution in scientific management, such as Charles Weber, Henry Metcalfe, Henry Tawney, Frederick Helse. These are some scholars who have given contribution. The term scientific management is not coined by Taylor himself. This term is coined by Louis de Brandeis, a French economist, in 1910. Getting point? There is no confusion. And along with Taylor, there are other scholars also who have given valuable contribution, like Gilbreth, like Gant, then Emerson, Emil Cook, etc. There are several scholars who have given this valuable contribution, but Taylor resumes a peculiar name position here. His father of management, his father of scientific management theory. Get your point? In 20th century, the second half 20th century, America witnessed too much turmoil or disturbance in industrial organization. Reason was, even after industrial revolution, there was lack of internal adjustment. Still, work was taking place in accordance with rule of thumb, and there was improper division of work and responsibility between worker and manager. Worker was having too much workload and management was relieved of entire responsibility. That's why there was too much unrest, dissatisfaction, sometimes devastation, sometimes lockdown. So every time there was, you can say, disturbances resulting into decline in industrial organization performance. M.W. Taylor used his own experience to address this problem, that is called scientific management theory. Taylor has valuable experience which published through various articles. I have written some articles. A piece rate system developed in 1895. Get a point? Then soap management 1903. Then art of cutting metal, that in 1906. The principles of scientific management 1911. Testimony before a House of Committee of Representatives 1912. All are article except this one. This one is book Principles of Scientific Management, came in 1911. Get a point? F.W. Taylor thinks that management is true science based on certain fixed rules and provisions which can be applied in all sorts of organization. Means the principles of management can be applied in agriculture, it can be applied in educational institution, it can be applied in governmental organization, it can be applied in religious organization. Everywhere management is true science based on certain rules and regulations. Getting about certain rules and principles. Getting a point? This theory basically focus on the shop floor level of organization. Getting a point? Where the actual production work takes place, where the level of performance is enormous and there is possibility of application of scientific management. Get a point? This theory studies relation between physiology of worker and physical nature requirement of work, and it tries to allocate work according to the competence of work is given to worker according to their physical competence. Get a point? So this is the crux of this theory. This theory believes that work division, specialization, technical competence, rational orientation can be used to increase organizational efficiency in organization. So this is very important crux of this theory. Now, as the name suggests, scientific management theory means management on the basis of science, not on the basis of thumb. Getting a point? So if you are doing organization and its management on the basis of science or scientific method, that is scientific management. Getting a point? When Taylor was developing his theory, was in process of formulating his principle, he came across a very peculiar tendency among workers. They have tendency to restrict their production. He termed this tendency as soldering phenomena. It is called soldering phenomena. It is a particular tendency on the part of worker to restrict production. Taylor found it can be due to two reasons. First, due to his limited physical and mental capacity, and second, due to systematic a systemic influence. He does not want too much because he does not want give to impression to others that he can do a lot. He wants to keep expectation of other low. That's why he restricts his production. That is reason of soldering phenomena. Taylor thought that with introduction of scientific management, this tendency can be arrested and industrial production can be increased. So Taylor's scientific management theory is concerned with application of scientific technique in the production of industrial organization. This theory believes that production efficiency in production of industrial organization can be increased through application of scientific technique. This theory is based on certain principles, certain assumptions. The first assumption is that work is more important than worker. We have to first focus on work, not on worker. And we have to find worker according to work. Number two, which worker is rational animal, economic one. He just believes in maximizing his earning and his productivity. And third, he says that a good worker is one who does not initiate himself, rather he accepts order given by management. Getting a point? So the third concept. And fourth concept, he says that with the application of scientific management, industrial performance from efficiency and performance can be increased. So these are some assumptions on which scientific management theory is based. Get a point? Scientific management theory. In scientific management theory, F.W. Taylor developed 4 principles. First principle is called develop a true science of work. According to this principle, each and every work of an organization can be scientifically analyzed, classified, and one best way of doing work can be developed. Getting point? Number 2, the training and selection and training of work on scientific basis. Means if one best way is developed, then on that basis only the training of employee and selection of employee can be made. Number 3, management, cooperation of management to worker. Means management should cooperate worker to act in accordance with one best way. Number 4, division of work and responsibility between management and worker. Means the one best way finding work should be given to management and to work according to one best way should be given to worker. So this is the very important, you can say, principle which led so many far-reaching consequences in future. So 4 principles. First, true science of development. Develop a true science of management. That is one best way. Number 2, selection and training of worker on scientific basis. Number 3, cooperation of management to worker to work in accordance with one best way. And number 4, division of work and responsibility between management and worker. These 4 principles on which scientific management theory is based. Getting a point? F.W. Taylor says, getting a point, it is some sort of mental revolution because it has brought significant changes in the mindset of both worker and you can say manager, that their interest does not lie in conflict, rather their interests lie in mutual cooperation. So this is very important thing, that is, you can say, the gist of scientific management theory, that the mutual interest of management and worker does not lie in conflict, rather it lies in, you can say, mutual cooperation. Taylor in scientific management theory tried to summarize his philosophy of his 4 principles, what I just told. First, he told that there should be thrust on science, not on thumb. There should be thrust on harmony, not in discord. There should be thrust on cooperation, not individualism. There should be thrust on maximum output, not in restricted output, and there should be thrust on development of each man to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. Scientific management theory says that objective of management, the objective of organization should be to maximize earning of organization along with maximizing earning of worker. Getting a point? So this theory had used science to resolve the ongoing problem or tussle between management and labor for a long period. This theory has far-reaching consequences. It has tried to replace the rule of thumb by science, and it has tried to address the age-old problem between management and worker through the application of science. So these are two very important achievements of scientific management theory. Taylor, in scientific management theory, applied several techniques. Some techniques, what can you tell some technique? Yes. First technique is called motion study. Motion study is a technique of standardization of work method. Here we observe all the motions comprised in a particular job. So motion study is basically method to determine one best way of doing work. It is supplemented by time study method. Time study method is used to determine the standard time for completion of work. Getting point? The first two techniques I just pointed out. First, motion study, and second, time study. Motion study and time study both are used to develop one best way. Getting point? So here we do two things. First, we try to develop one best way, and second, to remove the problem of the division of work and responsibility in management and worker. Number three, third technique it has used, that is called differential piece rate system. Here, Taylor suggested to give wages on the basis of performance. According to this system, workers are supposed to give wages at low level up to a performance level. At that level, if some worker reaches, management is supposed to give some bonus or something like. And afterward, if workers performs, he should be given wages at higher level. That is differential wage system. You know why? That is a specified limit. Below it, low rate of performance, low rate of wages. At the performance level, you have bonus, and afterward you have wages at higher level. So this is differential. What is objective? That to give trust to employee or worker to give maximum efforts to fetch more and more performance. Next, functional supervision. It is also very important technique. Functional foremanship. Taylor has developed functional foremanship. He rejected the unity of command concept, or you can say military type supervision work. He thought if worker is given a supervision in accordance with unity of command, he will not give the specialized supervision. That's why he developed functional foremanship, in which worker is supposed to get a specialized supervision by a different supervisor on a different subjects. So objective is to get maximum, or you can say scientific guideline for supervision from the supervisor or manager. In 8 supervisors, 4 are concerned with for planning work and 4 are concerned with execution work. 4 basically, first 4 live in planning cell, and they are called instruction card clerk, work order clerk, time and cost clerk, and shop disciplinarian. And rest 4 who work on site are called gang boss, speed boss, inspector, and repair boss. What is their objective? What is their task? Their task is to give a specialized supervision to worker for performance in accordance with one best way. Get a point? And one more principle or technique scientific management theory has developed, that is management by exception technique. Here Taylor suggested that we are not supposed to uh, manage all behavior of worker. We have to just manage their exceptional behavior. Means the behavior worker who is doing fairly well, exceptionally well, should be given award, or those who is doing exceptionally poor, they should be punished. So this is called management by exception. Taylor, along with this technique, develop some other technique also, like you can say standardization, modern cost system, instruction card, then time saving techniques, etc. There is open list of scientific management which can be later on added or subtracted as per requirement. But wheresoever Taylor is concerned, Taylor first motion study, then time study, then differential weighted system, then functional supervision, then management by exception principle, then you can point out some standardization, modern cost system, instruction card or manual, etc. Get a point? Taylor scientific management theory, you can say, is basically, you can say, a major milestone in the evolution of scientific administrative theory, because when the theory came, that time industries were facing multiple problems. It was some sort of panacea to all sorts of industrial disorder. It tried to remove, you can say, replace the rule of thumb by the science and its technique. It tried to address the problem with regard to work division between management and worker. It created a healthy and positive atmosphere where there is mutual interest and cooperation. It brought changes in the mindset of individual, worker and management both, and they gave message that their mutual interest is basically core, not conflict. It also gave work on motivation, democratic values, participation, which further developed in scientific human relation theory and other theory also. It laid foundation of democratization, it laid foundation of participation, it laid foundation of, you can say, scientific motivation approach in organization. These are things which were initiated by F.W. Taylor. Get a point? That's why the impact of scientific management not confined to American industry only. The then President of America and father of public administration, Woodrow Wilson, not only welcomed scientific management theory but also appealed government administration to apply scientific management theory in administrative reform. Its influence spread to European countries, even it spread to USSR in between 1920 and 1940 as a Stakhanovite movement. That during that time there was some sort of you can say ideological barrier between America and USSR. Even then, this theory superseded there and become very popular. This theory got translated in 9 languages. So you can well imagine what popular this theory was. Get a point? So what I mean to say, despite having number of achievement, it has certain limitation also. What were limitation, can you tell? Yes. First limitation it has that it was partial theory of organization. It focuses only on the shop floor level of organization. It does not discuss on entire organization. Number 2, this theory is also criticized as mechanical theory of organization because it considers human being as unit of machine or mere cog of machine. It does not work on psychological, social dimension of worker. Number 3, this theory also is criticized on the basis of underestimating motivation because it takes only the economic aspect of motivation. It forgotten the social psychological dimension of motivation. So this is also one of the important points. Then you can say this theory is also criticizes physiological organization theory because it deals with only bread butter type issue. It does not discuss on the other dimension of organization. This theory is criticized by Marxist thinker because Marxist thinks that the major portion of scientific management will be cornered by the management and worker will be given very small portion. There will be some sort of exploitation on the worker, on the part of worker. It is an instrument of exploitation of worker on the name of scientific management. It is criticized by trade union because they feel that they will lose a role due to scientific management. It is criticized by management also because management found this theory would increase their workload and it will take away their discretion. It was criticized by worker also in the beginning because they felt that this theory will cause retrenchment of worker. So they in the beginning criticized this theory. So 5 criticism, if you ask me, 5 achievement you tell me. First achievement, it has replaced rule of thumb by science. Number 2, it addressed the problem between worker and management with regard to work and responsibility. Number 3, it has created a healthy and positive atmosphere, some sort of mental revolution on the part of both. Number 4, it has basically laid foundation of democratization, participation, and modern approach to motivation and organization. Number 5, it has laid foundation of further research and investigation. Even its limitation cause further investigation which cause emergence of human relation theory or behavioral approach or something like. So this theory is basically held organization in both perspectives, in theory and practice also. In theory, it has given a scope for further research and investigation, and in practice, it has given a behavioral approach to organization, a scientific approach how to increase efficiency in organization. In present 21st century, we have number of theories, number of principles, number of approaches, but scientific management theory assumes a particular and peculiar position due to its concern on efficiency. Getting point? As you know, in new public management, the findings of F.W. Taylor or scientific management theory is still relevant as new Taylorism. So you can find the observation, the contribution, the assumptions of scientific management theory is still relevant in 21st century, particularly new Taylorism as new Taylorism in new public management. So I will rather suggest go through this topic through by a book, take my classes once, listen one or twice, then try to write one question as in BPSC, and if you have any sort of difficulty, you can contact me also. This topic is very important, very concerned, and I do hope if you properly study it, that is sure to be asked. So very good, very nice, enjoy, relax at all.